Hi, everyone. I am Lori Ancode, and I am so excited about my participant and interviewee for today, Amy Caraba. She is amazing. She's actually interviewed me quite a few times for some local news channels that she's been on, and so now I get to interview you, and I'm so excited about
I
it.
know the roles are reversed for the
Course.
first time.
I really like it. So, I just want to tell everybody about your background because you're such an incredible role model, so inspirational, and such a rock star. And your story, a lot of people might not know all of your story, but I'm going to start from the beginning with some of your amazing accomplishments. So, Amy Caraba is a communications expert, former news anchor, award-winning journalist with deep experience in marketing and promoting local businesses. Amy currently is the CEO and president of the St. Helena Chamber of Commerce, Napa Valley, and destination marketing for St. Helena and Napa Valley. She worked in broadcasting as a television news anchor in some of the country's top markets for more than 12 years, including San Diego, Las Vegas, Sacramento. Her role as an award-winning journalist expanded outside of the television studio after she was hired to help market and promote local businesses and area nonprofits. Additionally, there's more. It's such a great background. It really is. Additionally, for more than 2 years, she served as communications director in the social media world for several top social media influencers, where she was responsible for creative direction, brand management, product launches, digital campaign strategies, and successful marketing campaigns. I might need to talk to you. So, Amy Caraba Salazar also joined the I'll Be Aware board in July of 2020 and which is a breast cancer nonprofit in Sacramento. She's proud to be part of such a wonderful organization, helping breast cancer patients throughout Sacramento, where while she has an extensive career background, her biggest accomplishment is being a breast cancer survivor and a new mom. I mean, so I just want to finish this because I want to ask you a couple of questions about that, because that was a journey. Amy was diagnosed with breast cancer in November of 2017. She was so touched by the tremendous help I'll Be Aware gave to her during her cancer treatment that she's now proud to be on the board. I'll Be Aware helped me during a difficult time, 9 rounds of chemo, over 20 rounds of radiation, multiple surgeries, including a bilateral mastectomy with reconstructive surgery. There is no better nonprofit in Sacramento helping women and men battling the disease. And you could read about Amy's cancer journey, and we'll attach that to when this goes out to everybody's email. We'll attach that because that's amazing. So I know it's a lot. That's why you're part of the Empowered Boss Lady series. I mean, you're just an amazing, incredible woman, and you always find time and a way to give back. So, where I would like to know, we're going to lead up to where you are now. How did you get into journalism? So let's step back a little bit. And how did it find you, or did you go in search of that?
You know, I always loved telling a story, and I just remember one day saying, I'm going to be a journalist. And I went to school for it, and I got my broadcast journalism degree. And I remember so many people saying, you think you're going to be on TV? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be on TV. And I started interning at KPIX in San Francisco. And from there, I got my first job in Casper, Wyoming. And I moved to the middle of nowhere and was a news anchor and a weather forecaster. And then just from there, my career took off. I went to so many different markets, like you mentioned, Las Vegas and San Diego and Sacramento. And I really expanded my career in terms of I minored in meteorology, so I was able to forecast weather and also do, journalism and tell stories and anchor the news. And I just did it for almost 15 years. I loved every minute of it. And then unfortunately, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. So from there, my whole career kind of shifted, and the rest is history with kind of my bio with what you explained already. So
well, and so when you were broadcasting, I think with CBS at that time when that happened, is that correct? Or you would?
Yeah, I was working for ABC 10, and it's really interesting. In Sacramento, I was having a really hard time getting up in the morning, and anchoring the show. I was very lethargic. I couldn't figure out why I was lethargic. I went to multiple doctors about that. And then a couple months after I had left my job at ABC 10, my husband and I said, you know what a better time. I don't have a job anymore, and maybe we should start a family. And so I went to the doctor to talk about starting a family and making sure that I was able to. I was 36 at the time, and I wasn't sure, right? And while I was there, it was my birthday. I'll never forget. The doctor said, hey, while you're here, let's do your breast exam. And her exact words were, I don't like what I'm feeling. I don't like that. And on my birthday, my world really crumbled, because what should have been an hour appointment turned into a 4-hour appointment with multiple tests right away. I mean, it wasn't like a delay or come back in a couple weeks. They got me in. I did ultrasound, mammogram, and then they pretty much told me before biopsying it, hey, we're pretty confident that this is breast cancer, so you should go home and prepare yourself. We'll biopsy it next week, and then we're going to need to talk strategy. So it was one of the worst birthdays I think I've ever had. I remember, to be honest, gasping and really not even being able to breathe as we walked out of the hospital. And it was not a good moment.
How many years ago was that?
So that was in 2017.
Wow.
And believe it or not, I had just started a new job, and it was the job that I currently have. It was the CEO and president of the St. Helena Chamber, and I'm in charge of all destination marketing for the city of St. Helena, Napa Valley. And I remember saying to my husband, I've only been CEO for 4 weeks. What am I going to tell them? You know, once I officially was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was diagnosed with a very aggressive breast cancer, and it had already spread. And I had just started this job that I was so excited about because it was different. I had shifted out of the television world, and I was in charge of destination marketing, which is a lot of video content and a lot of things that I was really excited about. And since this is an empowerment group of gals and men and women that you talk to, I told my husband, if I have to do chemo and I have to do radiation, I'm going to keep my job. I'm not going to stop working. I'm not going to be at home sick. I'm not going to sit at home and mope. I'm going to have to keep working. And, you know, at the time I was living in Sacramento, and we were going to move, and we didn't, because my hospital was in Sacramento, but my job was 2 hours away. And so all through my chemo, my radiation, I drove 2 hours there, 2 hours back, 5 days a week. I lost my hair. I mean, you know, with chemo, you lose your hair. Radiation, I had serious burns here on my chest. I did multiple surgeries through the cancer treatment. And I worked the whole time. And I'm really proud about that, because that's really hard to do.
Oh my gosh.
Would I do it again that way? I don't know. It was that hard, but I'm proud that I did it. It was very hard. I feel lucky that I have my job, and I just felt committed to my job, and I didn't want to stop with what I was trying to do just because I was sick.
That's just incredible. I mean, the courage and resilience and perseverance and bravery that you showed is just such an inspiration. What was your toughest, what was your biggest challenge, and while you were going through this, your biggest challenge, and then what was one of your biggest accomplishments?
I think my biggest challenge was, and I will never forget this, and I can get very emotional thinking about it, but I think it's important for people to know, because it was my biggest challenge, but it was the best accomplishment at the end of the day. It was after it was my second round of chemo, and I had to do 9. So I remember being in the shower, and I literally called for my husband, and I said, we've got to get my oncologist on the phone. I can't do anymore. I've got to go into the hospital we've got to pull the plug on this, and we've got to start making, and this is so hard to say, but we've got to start making arrangements for me not to be here on this earth. And so where do I want to be? Just talking about things I don't even like to talk about.
I understand though. Yeah, it's real.
It was real. And it was like, okay, because, I'm 36 and it's like, it was a lot of tough questions. And I remember we called my oncologist and I was just this was talk about being on the bottom of the bottom, right? I couldn't even pick myself up. I was so sick, no hair. The hair was all really coming out in clumps. And she said to me, no, you're not going to quit. And she had quite a bit of attitude, which was really kind of funny to see her that way. She got really annoyed with me and upset and was like, you're absolutely not quitting. You're 36 years old. And I know that this is spread, but we've done these surgeries. And if you do this treatment, if you get through 9 rounds and if you get through 29 rounds of radiation, I think you're going to be on this uphill climb. And I would always argue and say, you think, I don't know if I have it in me to do it. I'm so sick. I can't even fathom 9 rounds of chemo and 29 rounds of radiation. I can barely get through 2. And, you know what? I don't know. Her and I just went back and forth. And I honestly, from that moment, I did it. I don't even know to this day how. I'm big in faith. I think God was with me every step of the way. And, we did it and it was hard. I remember driving to work and having to pull over and throw up. Speaking candidly, I was so sick. And then I'd walk into a board meeting and just own it, right? And
amazing.
For me, that was what was great about that was I truly believe now that I can do anything, and I truly wake up every morning and I'm so grateful. Having cancer and losing your hair has been so incredibly humbling for me. It's really toned me down a little bit. If you knew me working in TV as, always kind of pushing because I really wanted everything to be great. And I realize now, life is so wonderful. I wake up every morning so grateful. I'm so positive. I was a little bit negative, I think, before cancer. Maybe a chip on my shoulder from time to time if things didn't go right. And now it's totally different attitude and mindset that if things don't go right, it's just basically realizing you were given a mountain to show others that you can move it. And that's it.
So amazing. When you talk about your faith and leaning into that and knowing that God has a plan for you, because look at, you're gorgeous inside and out. You emanate and glow health and energy and grace. You do. I want you to know that.
You can so sweet, Lorianne.
Well, you can see that right through the screen. I really want to share that with you. And now, gosh, your story, obviously God had a plan for you because your story, you've come full circle. You tell us about, because there's so many layers to your story that I find fascinating, and I think it's going to be so helpful to so many women. So then you embraced your job. You have this great, it sounds like you have a great boss and working atmosphere because they supported you, although you are a badass. So you're throwing up and going into a board meeting. Clearly there's a strength in you that can't be taken away. So now you move through that. And then you go, gosh, I'm young. I have this amazing husband, because I know you and your husband are so good together. He's a local real estate agent. He's like one of your I think he's one of your biggest advocates. I see how he cheers you on. So you want to have a family. Tell us about that journey. You have breast cancer, and it wasn't that long ago. 2017 is like a blink away. So tell us about that.
I think what was really challenging for me was a couple of things. When you lose your hair, I felt like I had lost my identity. And then they had said, oh, by the way, after you get through all of this, you're not going to be able to have children. And it was really frustrating because it was like, wait a minute, what do you mean? I'm 36 years old. And it wasn't that I physically can have children. It's unfortunately the cancer that I have is a hormone, estrogen driven, triple positive, rare cancer. And so they don't want me to get pregnant. There would be some major concerns for a reoccurrence. And so it was like such a struggle. I felt like when I was out in the community, I was just not myself, right? I'm bald. I just didn't feel like I was me. And then now I can't even carry. I can't do this one thing that I had always kind of wanted. And now I was really feeling really low.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember during chemo, my oncologist saying, stop thinking about being a mom. You've got to think about and focus on getting through chemo. And I would say to her, Dr. Huey, this is what is getting me through chemo. So I am going to focus on getting to that, that end of the line where I am a mom. And she would always go, no, no. And so long story short, I said, I'm going to find a surrogate. And we started to do research on surrogacy, and everybody knows, you hear surrogacy, it's incredibly expensive. My husband and I are average Joes. We don't have a ton of money. And right then and there, I knew if I'm going to be a mom via surrogate, I can't afford it. How am I going to do this? There's no support for cancer patients in surrogacy. There's a couple of grants throughout the country, but it's very little. It doesn't really help. And the whole overall process is incredibly expensive and complex. And I said to my husband, we're just going to have to figure out a way to do this. And we did. We figured it out. I took it every step of the way. I found somebody locally through a Facebook page.
So fascinating to me.
So fascinating. If you go through a surrogacy agency, it's very expensive. So I said, let's not go through an agency. Let's see if we can work around the system and make this happen. So I posted to Facebook. I had multiple people come forward and say, I would love to carry your child for you.
Wow.
And I was surprised at how many people wanted to do that. But we were so lucky when we started talking to people and interviewing them. I wanted to find somebody that was willing to do it for all the right reasons, not necessarily money, even though we were going to pay a little bit. We had a little bit of money. I wanted them to do it because they were doing it from their heart. And we met my surrogate at a Starbucks, her and her husband, and she was doing just that. She never once cared about the money. She wanted to do it because she wanted to help us. And we knew right then and there she was the right surrogate. And so from that moment on, we started the process doing it without an agency and kind of going around the system and still doing the things that are required by the FDA in order to do surrogacy, because there's quite a bit of requirements. And working with Kaiser locally and
wow,
making it work. And it worked. We did it a very unconventional, unique way. My doctor at Kaiser says, I've never seen anyone do surrogacy like this. And the way you've done it is amazing. We did it for less than half the price an average surrogacy would cost. And it's because we had a lot of faith, a lot of people helping, like my surrogate. And, I said to my husband this year in December, I can't believe I have a baby. And just this time last year, she was pregnant. It just happened so quickly and it progressed. And my son is here now.
How old is he?
He's just over 2 months.
Just over 2 months. And how much is a regular what's the average price for somebody who goes through an agency?
If someone goes through an agency, you're looking at it could be anywhere from $80,000 to over $100,000.
Wow.
And that does not include getting the actual embryos, which can cost about $20,000 and up. So it's very expensive to do surrogacy. And I understand why. There's a lot of, like I said, these FDA requirements that, trust me, the whole time I was hurdling these FDA requirements, I was like, are you kidding? And I'm bringing this up because my own sister, who's my family, was not allowed to carry for my husband and I because she didn't meet these FDA requirements.
Wow.
And I remember saying to my husband, this is so frustrating. Why can't my own sister carry our child for us?
Yeah.
And if you're out there and you're struggling with infertility, whether it's cancer or other reasons, those FDA requirements will get you. They will get you. And if you are smart and if you stay focused, you will get around them. And,
you've proven that.
Yeah. And you can't be afraid, right? I posted to a Facebook group page and I had friends posting for me saying, we're looking for a surrogate for my friend. And it's just finding that right person.
Gosh, that just is so, that's so creative. I mean, just how you did that, use social media to expand your family and you found the perfect fit. So, so how did that happen? I mean, God, you must be going, God must have his fingers in that for sure.
I remember when I talked to my surrogate for the first time on the phone. Her name is Trish, and I actually don't like to call her my surrogate anymore because she's now family to us, her and her husband. And she has 2 children, and that's a requirement. So if you're a surrogate, you have to have 2 children. So that's why my sister was not able to carry. She's never had children. And it's because you're carrying, right, somebody else's child, and there's a concern of when you have to let that baby go, that attachment concern by the FDA. But when I first talked to my surrogate on the phone, I remember hanging up and saying to my husband, there's no way her husband is going to let her do this. And it was so funny when we met them in person. Her husband was like, I'm so supportive. We have 2 children. I couldn't imagine not having my 2 children. I want to see my wife do this for you. And I couldn't believe that she had such an awesome husband with an attitude like that. That was so cool.
That's so great. Oh my gosh. So you have this amazing journey that you've been on, and I know that part of what has happened is now you want to share that story. So as we get towards the end, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But there's so many things about you that are fascinating. And you're such a passionate woman. I mean, you just have so much passion. Where do you see yourself in 2 to 5 years? I mean, you have your baby, you have your wonderful husband, you guys are living here in Sacramento. Do you think you'll be moving? Are you going to stay in this area? Tell us more about that.
I think we want to stay in Sacramento. Something that I think about that kind of motivates me is when I was really sick, I always said, you're not put on this earth to just sort of do your job, right, every day. And you're really put here to make a mark and help others. I really feel that way. And while I loved my career in television, it was one of the best careers I've ever had. Every day that I worked in TV, I never really felt that I was helping others, that there was that element. I felt that was missing. And so I see myself really helping others. It's one of the reasons I joined a breast cancer board. It's to help others if they've got, questions, if they need help during chemo, if I can be any support system there. I'm a huge advocate now for surrogacy, as you know, like we've talked about. So if I can help anyone, whether they're a cancer patient or someone struggling with infertility, if I can help with the educational piece, I'm happy to help facilitate and answer questions there. I see myself doing something on that end, just because I do feel like every day is a blessing and we really should be sort of working together and just making the most of it. I spent a lot of my time in television spending more time focused on me. And that's really hard to say, but I'm just being candid and honest, right? You're on TV and you're thinking about your image and your look and the news that you're delivering and telling a good story. And it's all these different things. And that's great. But now I'm in a different phase where it's more about, I think, somebody else and helping somebody else.
I love it. And so as a new mom, how do you find balance in your day?
That is so hard. I was just saying to you, oh my gosh, it's so hard to juggle all of this, but I just think you figure out a way to do it. And I still block out time, right, to focus a little bit on me, right, get my workout in that I want. And I think it's just managing it all and realizing that you might fail, right? You might, I might fail with my son or fail with my job, but it's about how you rebound off of that and do you change it for the future.
Mm-hmm. And if you could go back to your younger self, what would you say to her?
That is such a great question. Boy, I would say don't sweat the small stuff. I used
Mm-hmm.
to really sweat the small stuff, and I don't anymore. I am so laid back. It's hilarious. Because if you really know me, I was never laid back, and I'm very laid back now. And even my own family, they're like, gosh, now she's so laid back. But yeah, I don't sweat the small stuff. If I
Mhm,
can't do something, I don't beat myself up over it. If I
mhm,
miss something, I don't beat myself up for it. I just make sure maybe tomorrow I get it.
mhm. And
So
then you're a mate, you are talking about mentoring, and we're going to share more about that later. And being a mentor and helping women with who are going through breast cancer treatments, and also because you are an expert on that, and also surrogacy. But who has mentored you? Who have you looked up to either personally or through career has mentored you? Who's been had a powerful impact on that?
I have a girlfriend who has been an incredible mentor who's really sort of been with me every step of the way. She was also a journalist, also navigating, working in television, navigating that change out of TV, navigating motherhood. And her name is Carly. I think she has been, one of my biggest sort of inspirations to see somebody else sort of navigating it as well.
Mhm,
I also think my doctors, just people that are supportive every step of the way, and my husband, of course. My
mhm,
husband has been amazing. He's like a rock for me, especially during my treatment.
mhm.
I've had so many people be mentors and be supportive, especially during my cancer treatment. My own sister shaved her head. I couldn't believe that.
Wow.
Because I would say to her, boy, if I didn't have
Mhm,
cancer and you had cancer, I don't know, honestly, if I would shave my head for you. Speaking
mhm.
candidly, right?
Right,
Just
right,
being
right.
fully raw and honest. And so for her to
Mhm,
do that
mhm,
that blew
mhm.
my socks off. That was
Wow.
unbelievable.
What a true sister, that's just such great love for you. Well,
Yeah.
now I want to do a lighten up and go to a little lighter because you have such a wealth of information, but I want the audience to know more about you. So we're going to do some rapid fire fun questions. So, bucket list items. Since you've walked through what you walked through, actually, what came to me just now is you walked through the valley of the shadow of death. I mean, you really did. You
Yeah.
really did. So
Yeah.
now, what's on your bucket list?
Um, Two things. I really want to implement a surrogacy program for breast cancer
Awesome.
locally, and I want to live in Italy. I
Really?
want to live in Italy. I talk to my husband about this every day. I want to have a second home in Italy. I want to live in Italy.
And you've been there, obviously.
I love Italy. I all over Italy. Specifically, the island of Capri is my absolute favorite. But yeah, I would love to just be able to go there more than once a year and actually just learn Italian and live.
Oh, that sounds so beautiful. I could see you with your son running around. Are you
Mhm.
going to have another question? Are you planning on having any more children, or what are your thoughts on
I
that?
think if we have more children, I think we would adopt. I think adoption's beautiful. My sister is adopted, and it's funny because I say she's my sister, my own blood, but she is adopted, and I look at her that way. But I think adoption's beautiful. I think we would go that route.
Okay, that's great. And then ocean or mountains?
Ocean,
Ocean. Cat or dog?
dog,
Favorite food to bring on favorite food for a binge?
for a binge.
Yeah, binge eating. What's your favorite food? Oh gosh, I'm craving.
It's flaming hot Cheetos, and I can't even tell you when I had them.
Okay, that's good. That's awesome.
But yeah, I love like
Flaming.
Takis, spicy chips.
That's great. Well, who or what would you bring with you onto a desert island?
I would bring my English bulldog, my husband, and my son.
So favorite place to vacation?
Italy.
Italy.
The island of Capri. If you've ever been, it's the
No.
island of Capri and the Fraglioni Rocks.
Oh my gosh. And last book that you read?
Boy, what was the last book that I read? Somebody gave me a book. I'm blanking on the title, but it was sort of like a motivational book.
Oh,
And it was
okay.
great.
So it's fiction. It would be nonfiction primarily. Are you more nonfiction?
Yeah.
More nonfiction. Netflix. Would you do mystery, comedy, romantic comedy, mystery, or sci-fi?
Comedy, Schitt's Creek, all the way.
Oh, you're the person who's told me that. I have to watch that. Tattoo or no tattoo?
I actually have a tattoo. It's right here. And when my husband and I hold hands, it's a heart.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh my, of course you guys have hearts on your hands. I mean, you guys are so sweet. How do you recharge?
Exercise.
Exercise, yeah. That's awesome. Any words of wisdom for anybody who's either A, looking to go into TV, or B, looking to become a surrogate or get a surrogate? I mean, those are like three pretty broad questions, but do any of those resonate with you?
I think if you're looking to go into TV, always be yourself. That was something that I always did. I was always myself. You know, when I first started in TV, they wanted you to look a certain way and be serious, and I never was. And now I love it because TV's really evolved. Now they love personality on TV. And I remember when I was working in Vegas, and I would just do some crazy things on TV, and I would get called into the office every day, and then it became this thing. It was like Extreme Amy in Vegas, and I just remember always saying I'm going to be true to myself and always be myself on TV or not on TV, right? When you're out.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is like the best advice.
Mm-hmm. I love. And I just love that you took such an unconventional route to become a parent, and with your husband, you guys are, you're just so tenacious. Like whenever you have something on your bull, I could see a bullseye in front of you, and you just like are going for it. And you're going to go, somebody puts up a block, and you're going to figure out how to climb over it, or dig a hole under it, or go around it. And so, if somebody wants to reach you because you have such a huge amount of knowledge around breast cancer or surrogacy, what would you like to share with them, and are you open to them reaching out to you?
Absolutely. So if you have any questions about anything, you know, if you're going through your own personal battle, or you want to become a mom and you're just intimidated. I was incredibly intimidated by surrogacy and what that entailed. Now I am an expert. I tell Lorianne this, I am an expert at this, and let me help you, because you don't have to make the mistakes I made that were costly, or the hurdles that I jumped through and then had to take 25 steps back again. Now I know how to do it. And I would say, reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on social media. Reach out to me. I will 100% respond and be receptive.
Oh, that's so great. And we'll put a link at the bottom of this for everybody to be able to reach out to you. So I'm so grateful to you. You really are a force of nature. You are. I mean, it's so true. God put you on this earth to do big things. And I feel like you're just getting started. Like you've already had this huge array of things that you've done. But oh my gosh, Amy, it's so impressive. I'm so inspired by you. And I know our audience is as well. So I'm going to close out for right now, and then looking forward to sharing you with the world.
Well, I'm inspired by you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for empowering so many people. And I'm so grateful for you, and nice to meet everybody else. Thanks, Lorianne.
You're welcome.